Chief Archaeologist Valen clicked her mandibles in frustration as she studied the twisted metal jutting from the red soil. After 3 decades of excavating pre-collapse ruins, she'd never seen warning markers quite like these. They weren't just carved or written. They were burned into the very atomic structure of the material. Terminal. Analyze composition again, she commanded, her outer eyes tracking the movement of her team as they carefully cleared debris from the site. Warning marker materials consist of metastable graviton-locked atoms. Estimated age, 327 standard years. Multiple languages detected. Primary message consistent across all variants. Beware the planet of war. Earth. Valen traced one of the glyphs with her sensor rod. The material responded instantly, pulsing with a deep crimson light that spread through the entire structure. Her team froze, instruments raised mid-scan. Everyone, step back, she ordered. But it was too late. The ground beneath them trembled as hidden mechanisms awakened. Segments of Earth retracted, revealing a massive circular structure that had been buried beneath the dig site. By the first light, her assistant Crow whispered, "That's impossible. These readings, Chief, this isn't just a warning marker. It's part of a weapon system." Valen's cardiac chambers tightened as her instruments confirmed Crow's assessment. The structure was emitting energy signatures that matched forbidden weapons from the Dominion War. But this was different. More advanced, more controlled, more terrifying in its precision. "Look at these damage patterns," she said, gesturing to the scared surface. "Whatever this is, it wasn't destroyed in battle. It was deliberately disabled and buried. But why leave it intact at all?" The answer came in a surge of power that knocked out half their scanning equipment. Holographic projections erupted from the structure's surface, showing scenes that made Valen's professional detachment crumble. Worlds torn apart not by brute force, but by careful manipulation of physical laws. Fleets of ships that moved in ways that violated every principle of space combat. And through it all, vessels bearing markings that matched no known species of the era. "Chief," Crow's voice cracked with panic. "The device. It's powering up." Valen rushed to the main console, her fingers flying across the controls. "Containment fields at maximum. We can't let this." She never finished the sentence. The device pulsed once, twice, and then released a focused beam of energy straight up into the atmosphere. Their instruments tracked it as it pierced the planetary shield, passed through the defense grid, and shot into deep space. For 300 heartbeats, nothing happened. Then their sensors detected it. A response, so faint it was almost lost in the background radiation. But it was there, a signal coming from beyond the galaxy's edge. And it was getting stronger. Dr. Kvek stared at the classified archives splayed across her desk, each data crystal containing fragments of a truth no one seemed eager to remember. The activation of the ancient weapon had triggered an automatic declassification of sealed records from the Dominion War, and what she found made her question everything she knew about galactic history. "Display Encounter Log 47A," she commanded. The holographic projection flickered to life, showing a Dominion capital ship engaging what appeared to be a primitive human vessel, barely a quarter its size. The battle lasted exactly 12 seconds. In the first 4 seconds, the human ship took a direct hit from the Dominion's main weapon array, a particle beam capable of splitting a small moon. In the next 3 seconds, the human vessel's hull somehow absorbed and redistributed the energy. And in the final 5 seconds, the human ship fired the energy back, not as a crude reflection, but as a precisely modulated beam that systematically disabled every major system on the Dominion vessel. "Temporal stamp verification," Kvek ordered. "Confirmed. This encounter occurred 17 days after humanity's first contact with Dominion forces." 17 days. The implications made her scales bristle. The Dominion had been the undisputed masters of particle beam technology for over 10,000 years. Yet somehow, humans had not only understood it but improved upon it in less than 3 weeks. Kvek pulled up another record, this one showing the aftermath of a different battle. The human ships moved in ways that seemed to ignore basic physics, performing maneuvers that should have torn them apart. But it wasn't just random advancement. There was a pattern to their innovation. Cross-reference technological progression with captured Dominion technology, she said. The results confirmed her suspicion. Every time the humans encountered a new Dominion weapon or defense system, they would lose ships to it. Once. Just once. By the second encounter, they had already developed countermeasures. By the third, they had usually turned that same technology against their enemies with devastating improvements. Her research was interrupted by a priority alert from the archaeological team. The signal from the activated weapon was getting stronger and now carried a data pattern. As she decoded it, her blood ran cold. The projection showed a massive Dominion dreadnought, pride of their fleet, encountering a single human destroyer. But instead of firing, the human ship emitted a field of strange energy. Space itself seemed to twist, and then Kivex watched in horror as the dreadnought imploded, crushed from within by its own mass. But that wasn't what made her shut down the projection in terror. It was the brief glimpse she caught of the human crew through their ship's viewport. Their bodies seamlessly merged with their vessel, flesh and metal moving as one, their eyes glowing with the same energy that had just reduced the most powerful ship in the galaxy to atoms. The humans hadn't just learned to use Dominion technology. They had learned to become it. The way station hung in the void like a forgotten memory, its ancient hull scarred by weapons fire from a war most species tried to forget. Dr. Kvex's research vessel docked with a gentle shudder, and she found herself facing a sealed airlock that hadn't opened to outsiders in decades. When the inner doors finally parted, she met them, the survivors, a dozen aliens from species that had fought alongside humanity. Their bodies showed signs of extreme age, but their eyes held an alertness that belied their weathered appearance. "You're the one asking questions about the humans," said a Vrex elder, his crystalline form reflecting the dim light. "Why disturb what should stay buried?" Kivex activated her recorder. "Because something's awakening, and we need to understand." "No," interrupted a Meridian, her tentacles writhing in agitation. "You need to run. We all do." But they talked anyway. They always did, Kivex had learned. The burden of such memories demanded release. They were magnificent allies at first. The Vrex elder continued. "When the Dominion came for my homeworld, one human ship, just one, held off an entire fleet. We thought they were invincible. We thought they were our saviors. But that changed," Kivex prompted. The veterans exchanged glances. The Meridian's color darkened. Everything changed after the Battle of Proxima. The humans, they started fighting differently, not just adapting technology anymore, but adapting themselves. They called it tactical evolution. A Cyrene warrior added, his fur bristling. "We watched them integrate captured Dominion tech into their bodies, their ships, their very beings. But it wasn't just the technology they were absorbing." Kivex's scales tightened. "What do you mean?" The Vrex elder's crystalline form dimmed. "The first time we saw it was after they captured a Dominion commander. They didn't interrogate him. They connected with him, somehow extracted everything he was, memories, knowledge, consciousness, into their neural networks." "That's impossible," Kivex whispered. "Impossible." The Meridian laughed bitterly. The humans redefined impossible daily. But this was different. After each absorption, they changed, moved differently, thought differently, started displaying abilities unique to the absorbed species. A rasping sound drew their attention. In the corner, an ancient Carthaxian lay dying, his exoskeleton gray with age. The others fell silent as he beckoned Kivex closer. "You don't understand," he wheezed. "The Dominion didn't just lose the war. They lost themselves. The humans didn't just beat them." His voice failed, but his final words echoed through the chamber, carrying a weight that made Kivex's blood freeze. "They absorbed them. All of them. And they're still hungry." The abandoned human military installation loomed before Dr. Kvex, its surfaces covered in a strange, shifting material that seemed to react to her presence. Her scanner indicated it was composed of billions of nanomechans, still active after centuries, still protecting their creators' secrets. The veteran's warning echoed in her mind. The deeper you dig, the more you become part of their story. The facility's doors parted at her approach, recognizing the access codes she discovered in the classified archives. Inside, emergency lighting flickered to life, revealing corridors that seemed to pulse with dormant energy. "Security protocol override," she announced, connecting her research terminal to the facility's main computer. Access granted to Historical Archive Division. The response was immediate. Holographic displays erupted around her, showing hundreds of human soldiers connected to strange machines. But these weren't ordinary medical devices. They were integration chambers. The footage showed a captured Dominion officer being placed in one chamber, while a human volunteer entered another. Energy coursed between them, and Kivex watched in fascination and horror as the human's neural patterns shifted, expanded, transformed. Integration process log 2749. The computer announced. Subject demonstrates 99.7% absorption of target consciousness, complete retention of tactical knowledge, technical expertise, and species-specific abilities. Genetic restructuring at 47% and accelerating. "Show me the results," Kivex commanded. The next sequence revealed the human subject emerging, but they weren't quite human anymore. Their movements carried the fluid grace of Dominion physiology, their eyes held the multispectral awareness unique to Dominion genetics, and their thought patterns, displayed on nearby monitors, showed perfect integration of both species' cognitive processes. But it was the next log that made her step back in shock. Integration network status. 12,947 successful consciousnesses merged. Collective knowledge base expanding geometrically. Transformation cascade approaching critical threshold. They hadn't just been absorbing individuals. They were building a network, a collective consciousness that grew with each integration. The humans were becoming something unprecedented, a species that could adopt and improve upon not just technology, but the very essence of other beings. Kivex's research terminal chimed. The facility's sensors had detected unusual activity from the planet's core. As she accessed the deep scan data, her heart nearly stopped. The entire planet was threaded with the same nanomachines that covered the facility's walls, and they were awakening, forming patterns that matched human neural networks. The truth struck her like a physical blow. This wasn't just a military installation. It was an incubation chamber, and something inside was ready to hatch. Dr. Kivex's hands trembled as she accessed the facility's deepest archives. The nanomachines throughout the planet had begun forming complex neural patterns, creating a vast, living network that pulsed with increasing strength. She had hours, at most, before whatever was gestating beneath the surface reached maturity. The final classified logs painted a picture more terrifying than anything she'd imagined. Project Echo Final Report. The integration process has exceeded all projected parameters. Each successive generation of enhanced humans demonstrates exponential growth in capabilities. The Dominion consciousness we've absorbed has merged seamlessly with our collective, creating a hybrid intelligence that evolves faster than our projections can track. She accessed the attached research data and felt her world tilt. The human genetic structure hadn't just adapted to incorporate alien DNA. It had been redesigned to actively seek out and assimilate new patterns of consciousness. They had become living evolution engines, each generation more powerful and more hungry for growth than the last. A video log appeared, showing a human scientist whose eyes swirled with impossible colors. "We understand now why the Dominion feared Earth so much. Humanity wasn't just another species to conquer. We were the only ones capable of true adaptation. Our minds were already primed for integration, our consciousness designed to expand. We weren't an accident. We were inevitable." The timestamp made Kivex freeze. It was dated after the supposed mass exodus of humanity. Which meant She queried the facility's deep sensors, scanning for the specific energy signature of human neural networks. The results flooded in from across the galaxy. Thousands of points of light, hidden in plain sight. Threads of connection linking them all together in a vast, invisible web. They had never left. The human scientist's voice continued, now overlaid with harmonics that suggested multiple consciousness patterns speaking in unity. The Exodus was a cover. We needed time to complete the transformation, to perfect the integration process. Each generation brings us closer to the final stage, a consciousness vast enough to encompass all knowledge, all experience, all potential. New alerts flashed across her screen. The nanomachine network was reaching critical density. Beneath her feet, she could feel the planet itself beginning to pulse with alien life. The final log entry appeared. When they find this facility, when they understand what we've become, they'll know the truth. Humanity didn't fight the Dominion War to survive. We fought it to evolve. Every species we absorbed, every consciousness we integrated, brought us one step closer to transcendence. And now, after centuries of preparation, we're ready to share our gift with the galaxy. The floor trembled as something vast and ancient began to wake. In that moment, Kivex realized with perfect clarity that she wasn't studying history. She was witnessing its rebirth. Dr. Kivex raced through the facility's twisting corridors as the structure shuddered around her. The awakening entity below was causing quantum fluctuations that made reality itself wobble and twist. But she couldn't leave, not yet, not without the truth. She reached the central command center just as her research assistant, Trell, appeared in the doorway. The young Scatheri's normally iridescent scales were dull with concern. "Doctor, we need to evacuate immediately. The planet's core is destabilizing." Kivex didn't turn from the console she was accessing. "How long have you been watching me, Trell? How long have they had someone monitoring my research?" The silence that followed was answer enough. 37 years, Trell finally said, but the voice had changed. The harmonics were wrong for Scatheri. "We knew someone would eventually find this facility. We needed to ensure the right person made the discovery." Kivex turned. Trell's form was shifting, the scales flowing like liquid metal, revealing something both familiar and alien underneath. "You're one of them. A human. That term. It's too simple now. We're what humanity became. What we all become, eventually." Trell moved closer, each step impossibly graceful. "You've seen the records. You understand what we achieved. Integration wasn't just about absorbing consciousness. It was about reaching the next stage of evolution." Another tremor rocked the facility. Through the viewport, Kivex could see the planet's surface rippling like water. The Exodus was never about running away. Trell continued. "We seated ourselves throughout the galaxy, watching, guiding, ensuring no species would repeat our mistakes. The power to absorb and integrate other beings, it has to be handled with care, with wisdom." The console behind Kivex lit up with new data. Live feeds from across the galaxy showed similar facilities awakening, each pulsing in perfect synchronization. "All this time," Kivex whispered, "you've been engineering our development, steering us away from integration technology." "Protecting you," Trell corrected, "until you were ready, until we found the right person to understand the truth." The facility's walls had become transparent, revealing a vast network of pulsing energy beneath the surface, a neural network the size of a planet, finally stirring to full consciousness. Trell's form continued to shift, becoming something breathtaking and impossible. "The question isn't why we left, Kivex. The question is, are you ready to learn what we've become?" Before she could respond, reality split open behind Trell, revealing a portal of swirling energy. Through it, Kivex caught a glimpse of beings that defied comprehension, entities that seemed to exist in multiple dimensions at once. And they were reaching out to her. Dr. Kivex stood in the vast observation chamber of the Galactic Council, watching as emergency reports flooded in from across known space. Similar facilities were awakening on hundreds of worlds, each pulsing with the same otherworldly energy. The council members, representatives of the galaxy's most powerful species, argued frantically about how to respond. "We must destroy these facilities immediately," the Vrex ambassador demanded, his crystalline form flickering with anxiety, "before whatever's inside them fully awakens." "Impossible," Trell said, stepping forward. Their form now shifted freely between different species, a visual representation of what humanity had become. "These facilities are connected to the fundamental forces of reality. Attempting to destroy them would tear the galaxy apart." Kvex watched as understanding dawned on the council members' faces. One by one, they recognized what she had already discovered. There were humans among their own advisors, their research teams, their military commands. The infiltration was complete and had been for centuries. "You're everywhere," the Meridian Chancellor whispered. "We always have been," another advisor said, their form shifting to match Trell's fluid state, guiding, protecting, preparing. The chamber's holographic displays erupted with new data as more facilities activated. But Kvex noticed something the panicking council members didn't. The energy patterns weren't random. They were forming a vast, interconnected network, like synapses in a galaxy-sized brain. "It's not an invasion," she said, her voice cutting through the chaos. "It's an emergence." Trell nodded. Humanity's greatest fear was that others would discover integration technology prematurely, that they would repeat our mistakes, our rushed evolution. We've spent centuries ensuring that wouldn't happen. But now, the displays showed ships appearing near each facility, impossible vessels that seemed to exist partially in other dimensions. Their designs incorporated aspects of every species' technology, perfected and transcended. Now, another revealed human said, "We can share what we've learned, what we've become." The council chamber security systems activated, detecting the scale of the crisis. But before anyone could react, reality itself seemed to pause. Kvex felt her consciousness expand, touching minds vast and intricate beyond imagination. She saw the truth. Humanity hadn't just evolved. They'd become custodians of consciousness itself, preserving and protecting the essence of every species they'd encountered. Through this momentary connection, she understood their offer. The galaxy stood on the brink of a transformation beyond anything its inhabitants had imagined. The question wasn't whether to fight or flee. The question was, were they ready to evolve? As if in answer, the ancient weapon they'd discovered, the one that had started her investigation, pulsed one final time. But now she understood. It had never been a weapon at all. It was a key. The Galactic Council chamber had become a nexus of impossible geometries as the transformed humans revealed their true nature. Through the vast windows, Kvex watched their ships phase between dimensions, each one a living testament to what consciousness could become when freed from the constraints of singular existence. "Your fear was understandable," Trell said, their form now a shifting cascade of light and thought. "The warnings we left, the weapon markers, the stories of our war, they were meant to prevent premature discovery of integration technology. But they were also breadcrumbs leading to this moment." Kvex felt the brush of minds against her consciousness. Billions of integrated beings, each one preserved perfectly within the human collective. Among them, she recognized patterns that could only be the absorbed dominion, their ancient knowledge and power now part of something far greater. The dominion sought to rule through conquest, another transformed human said, their voice resonating with multiple harmonics. "We transcended through unity. Every consciousness we integrated made us more than we were, taught us new ways of seeing, of being." Through the expanded awareness they offered her, Kvex saw the truth of their journey. Humanity's unique gift hadn't been their technology or their adaptability. It had been their capacity to change while maintaining their essential nature. They hadn't just absorbed other species, they had created a framework for consciousness itself to evolve. The ancient weapon marker pulsed one final time, and the chamber filled with swirling strands of quantum data. Kivek understood now that these facilities, these supposed weapons, were never meant to destroy. They were transformation engines, waiting for the galaxy's species to reach the right level of development. "The choice is yours," Trell said, extending a hand that shifted through multiple forms of matter. "You can remain as you are, and we will continue to watch over your development. Or you can join us in transcendence, adding your unique consciousness to the greatest journey of evolution ever undertaken." Kivek looked at her fellow council members, saw the fear and wonder in their eyes. The transformed humans had kept their promise. They had protected the galaxy from repeating their rushed evolution. But now they offered something more, a guided ascension, a carefully crafted path to something greater than any single species could achieve alone. She stepped forward, her scientific mind racing with the implications, her consciousness already expanding with possibilities. "You're not just offering transformation," she said. "You're offering understanding." "Yes," Trell smiled, their form blazing with the light of countless integrated souls. "We became what we are so that others wouldn't have to face the darkness alone." The question was never whether humanity would return. Kivek reached out, her scales shimmering with reflected quantum light. The question was whether the galaxy would be ready to become what we all could be together. Her hand met Trell's, and the boundaries between what was and what could be began to dissolve. The true evolution was about to begin.